After their big win over the Knicks, the Cavs might be making a strong push to win the East. Plus, Paolo Banchero lights up the Lakers as the Magic get a clutch win. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, the #1 sports podcast network on Wednesdays. I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, host of Locked On Pelicans. He is Danny Cunningham, host of Locked On Cavs, filling in for John Corrales. Danny, you had nothing going on tonight, right?
I was, I just figured I could probably, what else am I going to do? I can
What else are you going to do?
Hang out with Jake at 1:30 in the morning and talk hoops. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Look, we had 11 games across the association. It was pretty fun to watch all of them. You had a big game that we're going to lead with in today's show. But of course, thank you for making a Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week covering literally every game played across the NBA this season. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Join us on YouTube as well. Become an everydayer and listen Monday on Locked On NBA Game Night here. Danny, let's start with your game because this was the biggest one of the night, and your Cavaliers delivered a statement win, 109-94 over the Knicks. Talk about it.
Yeah, this was, to me, I think one of the more impressive defensive efforts we've seen from the Cavs this year. And their offense has been really good. I thought they looked tired in this game. And to be fair to both teams, this was the 4th game in 6 nights for the Cavs. And it was the 3rd game in 4 nights for the Knicks. So maybe you're not getting the best effort or the best energy, I should say, from both teams. But the Cavs did a fantastic job from the start defensively. And Jalen Brunson in this game, who is having a fantastic season. 6 of 19 from the floor. The Cavs have done a really good job. They've played the Knicks 3 times, and this is their first win over the Knicks. But the thing that they've done consistently well all year, Jake, is they have held Jalen Brunson in check. On Christmas, he went 10 of 25, and he got to the free throw line a little bit more frequently than the Cavs would like, but 10 of 25 is a night you'll take defending Jalen Brunson. On opening night, he was 5 of 18, 6 of 19 tonight. Against the Cavs for the season, he's shooting 33%. And the thing that I take away from this, other than it is a statement win for the Cavs, and the Cavs are now the betting favorite on FanDuel to win the Eastern Conference as we record this. And I think they're the most talented team in the East. And they've got another showdown with the Detroit Pistons on Friday night. That'll tell us more about this team. But I think they're really well equipped to take on the New York Knicks in a way that I don't know I've always felt about them. They have multiple guys, and Dean Wade is one of them who's in the starting 5 tonight. Who can slow down Jalen Brunson. Now you look at Dean Wade, Keon Ellis, who's been awesome coming into Cleveland, Dennis Schroeder, who almost forced an 8-second violation in this game against the Knicks. They have so many different guys that can do such a good job defending the Knicks. And unless Mitchell Robinson, who had 8 offensive rebounds in this game, unless he just absolutely terrorizes the Cavs on the glass, I think the offensive blueprint for the Knicks gets kind of difficult to figure out against the Cavs.
Well, you've seen that with them, right? Their offense for the Knicks is not great in fourth quarters, and it just seems to kind of fall apart. And you kind of look at this roster and you're like, what is the answer? And it goes to what you just said. And we talked about this last week with John of they just kind of you got to hope for a big Mitchell Robinson game in those matchups where they just look a little bit off. When he completely controls the glass, it is a paradigm shifter for them, I think. But also, he's not doing that every game, I think, and that can be kind of part of the problem here. And then you start to look at their big man rotation, and you're like, what's going on here, right? Karl-Anthony Towns just in this game seemed oddly out of it, and it feels like, I don't know, the Knicks should be running some more offense for him or something along those lines.
Right. And I think if you would have told Cavs head coach Kenny Atkinson before the game, hey, Karl-Anthony Towns is not going to miss a shot, he would probably look pretty worried, right? And then you're going to say, but he's only actually going to get 5 attempts. You're like, oh, the Cavs are going to win then. And I do think there's something about this Cavs-Knicks matchup. And Towns, historically, I don't think has played all that well against Jared Allen, against Evan Mobley. And, I don't know that Karl Towns is at his apex right now. I think that he's maybe looked a step slow at times this year.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why he is committed. And he has always been somebody that commits a lot of silly offensive fouls, but like that has gone up this year. And like he got called for hooking Jared Allen because he's not able to blow past guys anymore in the same way that he was earlier on in his career. But the Cavs have this combination with Evan Mobley of Jared Allen of bigs that can stay with Towns on the perimeter and also are good enough on the interior where he's such this dynamic offensive player, but his advantages that can take advantage of certain stylistic guys defensively don't work against the Cavs. And that's part of the reason why I think the Knicks offensively would struggle against Cleveland in the postseason, because they can't find a way to get Karl Towns good looks. Like if you look at this box score for the Knicks, like Jalen Brunson is going to lead them in field goal attempts just about every game. That's expected.
Right.
If Bridges is number 2 in attempts, I think you feel pretty good about the defensive effort.
Oh, you do. You know, you mentioned Towns and the idiotic fouls that he has, right? Just some dumb fouls we've seen, particularly in the playoffs. When you have kind of, I don't want to quite call it a resurgence of Jared Allen playing alongside James Harden, but he looks really good and looks like he's hit a different level. That's going to make life defensively difficult for someone like Towns or whoever they're putting on him. That's just going to keep him kind of out of rhythm overall too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, Jared Allen even said this after the game, like this is the best basketball he's ever played in his career. And he looks like
at times like a different player, man.
Yeah, he does. And like it does predate Harden because they traded for Harden. I think it was on February 3rd. It was. And on February 1st against the Blazers, Jared Allen had a 40-point, 17 rebound game. So like he's been playing awesome the entire month of February, not just with Harden, but the pick and roll combination between those two has already clicked. And because it's so good so soon, and they've played 8 games together, it's not like they have built up this chemistry. Like they're kind of doing this stuff on the fly. I think they've had 2 legitimate practices and 1 shoot around basically the entire time. So they're still figuring things out. So I do think if the Cavs keep getting this version of Jared Allen, and the struggle for him has never been talent, it's been about consistency. But if he keeps being this guy, it starts to get really difficult for me to see other teams in the East beating the Cavs in the postseason. Now, like that is way easier said than done. He's got to go out and do it. But if this is who he's going to be, I just don't know how many teams have answers for all of the different ways the Cavs can then attack you.
Also, if you can get a win, if you're Cleveland, when James Harden doesn't take a free throw, you told me this before we recorded, that's absurd. James Harden, by the way, 20 points on the night, 0 free throw attempts.
So he played 32 minutes, Jake. And this was, I believe, the 4th time in the illustrious career of James Harden in year 17, future Hall of Famer, one of the best scorers of all time, one of the best guys ever getting to the free throw line, played 32 minutes, did not attempt a single free throw. And it's not as if this was a very tightly whistled game. It's not like, oh, they're really letting him play. No, Donovan Mitchell took 14 free throws in this game. Jalen Brunson got to the line 7 times, and they tried to put him on the line another time where the Cavs challenged and won it. James Harden is one, I do want to say he's not doing, I think, the same frequency of foul baiting that we're used to seeing James Harden do. Like in Cleveland, he has been in more of a distributor role, and I've been really impressed with the way that he's gotten others involved. But he's been fouled a couple times. They're just like, everybody gets that call in the NBA. There was one play in transition on Tuesday night where Jaylen Brown caught up to him and he tried to swipe down on the ball, and I'm not sure he touched the ball. And like he got both of Harden's forearms and no whistle for a free throw. Like he's not getting the calls that he's gotten throughout his entire career. He was averaging, I think, over 8 free throws a game with the Clippers this year. And granted, like his usage is down in Cleveland, but he's averaging fewer than 5 a game now in Cleveland. It's a small sample size and maybe it'll tick back up, but it's been a weird thing so far.
Yeah, look, just seeing that 0 right there is truly like actually bizarre when we think of James Harden as a player. So to get that win, I think knowing that, like, if you can kind of survive like that weird officiated game, you might get one of those in the playoffs, and that can potentially swing a series. And now Cleveland's going to have a ton of confidence. Like, yeah, we're good. We can kind of weather these storms. We can find other ways to win. I think that's really big. This was a pretty eye-opening victory. I think the Knicks have had kind of a bit of a rough week or two here with some of their losses, but Cleveland kind of surging. Maybe they'll make a push to win the Eastern Conference. So coming up next, Los Angeles Lakers falling in a clutch situation to the Orlando Magic. We're going to break it all down. That's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night brought to you by FanDuel. You ever want to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. So here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you're going to be automatically entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. You get the flights, the tickets, the whole experience. So if you're already looking at the board, you're feeling good about the Cavaliers all of a sudden with that win over the New York Knicks, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Western Conference. When you're thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. And I love the futures because you don't need to pick a team to just win the championship. You can do that. It could just be a conference title too. It just adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now not only can your pick cash, but it could also send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week covering everything you want to know about the association. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Join us on YouTube as well. And if you're about that everydayer club life, check out the Everydayer Club. You want to hang out? You want to chat with us and other hosts here? The Everydayer Club is the way to do it. You're going to get access to ad-free audio for this show, but also a members-only Discord access. You can join a big, fun group chat, react to all the biggest stories in the NBA with some of our hosts as well. Check the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, Danny, let's start flying through the games here. I really wanted to focus in on your game with you here, but let's move over to the West Coast with the Los Angeles Lakers falling to the Orlando Magic 110-109, a close clutch game. Wendell Carter Jr., the hero in this one, but let's go over to Locked On Magic.
Abracadabra, the Orlando Magic might just be the hottest team in the Eastern Conference right now. Might be a little early to say this, but the Magic are looking more and more like themselves. This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic, as the Orlando Magic defeat the Los Angeles Lakers 110-109. And it was the kind of game that this Magic team has not been able to win all year. Yes, the Magic have been fine in the clutch for the most part, but they haven't been able to kind of grit out wins, get stops when they needed to get stops. They haven't looked like themselves and the identity that everyone's known from this Magic team. But somehow, some way, this team has started to find it. Paolo Banchero with 36 points, 17 in the third quarter, carrying the team through this game. But ultimately, this game is about grit and determination. That's where the Magic have always had an advantage and where they've struggled this year. With 6 seconds remaining, Wendell Carter dug out an offensive rebound and got a putback to win the game. Desmond Bane, who'd been quiet from three all game, hit several big three-pointers in the fourth quarter to allow the Magic to stay in this game, stay in contact, and give themselves a chance. Because when you're in a close game, anything can happen. This Magic team has now won, I believe, 6 of their last 8 games. They are 6-4 in their last 10. They are now a 2-game winning streak. They're coming home from a West Coast trip 3-1 to a 4-game homestand, a critical 4-game homestand. That race for 6th in the Eastern Conference, as small as that might seem, is certainly tightening up, and the Orlando Magic are players once again.
All right, let's go over to Locked On Lakers.
This is Andy Kamenetsky, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast. The Lakers lose 110-109 to the Magic in LA. Orlando shorthanded without Franz Wagner or Jalen Suggs, and the Lakers had multiple double-digit leads in this game, but they gave up 13 offensive rebounds, which Orlando turned into 15 second chance points. There were some critical missed free throws by the Lakers. Paolo Banchero and Desmond Bane took over the second half for Orlando, and the Lakers had a few critical breakdowns on both ends of the floor down the stretch of this game, including the final possession where Luka Doncic passed up an open three, but also didn't drive, frankly, just froze and ended up giving up the ball to LeBron James, who had to put up a wild shot, no good. The Lakers' offense remains a disjointed mess between Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. A lot for the Lakers to work on. For more Lakers coverage, make sure you're watching Locked On Lakers on YouTube and listening wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, he nailed that one. Luka froze at the end. That's the note that I had. It was super weird to see.
So this might be a deep cut. But when Luka was on Dallas, and it was maybe the first game that he and Kyrie Irving played together, it was within the first couple, and it was a close game. The Mavericks had the ball with an opportunity to tie or take the lead, and Luka and Kyrie just kind of passed the ball back and forth because they both wanted to defer to the other guy and say, no, it's your team. No, it's your team. You should take the last shot. That's sort of what Luka looked like in that moment. Like I don't want to say that he didn't want to take the last shot here, but it didn't look like he knew what to do in that situation. And would he have made a fadeaway 3-pointer on the left wing? I don't know. Like, who knows? Like, that's not a high percentage is capable of doing it. But the fact that look with a LeBron one-legged fadeaway from the left wing is what the Lakers got in that situation, was just abysmal execution. And quite frankly, I think a good microcosm for who the Lakers are this year. Like, I know that they've got a good record. I know that they're in the playoffs. Jake, I don't think this is actually a good team, man.
No, look, they just wrapped up. This was the final game of an 8-game homestand, and they went 4-4 over it. You know, you heard Andy be like, their offense looks like a mess. Yeah, so does their defense at times too, right? Like, you choose which one doesn't look good on any given night, and when you kind of are that level of inconsistent, look, 8 straight home games with an all-star break, and you go 4-4. Like, that's not going to be good enough when it comes down to it. I think you kind of saw some of the issues here for the Lakers in this one. By the way, Paolo Banchero was awesome for the Magic. 36 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. Let's move on to the Oklahoma City Thunder coming back to beating the Toronto Raptors here. 116-107, or the Raptors almost come back, I should say. Let's go over to Locked On Thunder.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and then it was the best of times again. The Thunder in this game start out by getting down 10, and you're thinking, okay, well, Toronto with their great defense has stalled this Thunder offense down SGA, down J-Dub, then AJ Mitchell. That makes sense, right? But then the game flipped. The Thunder grew an over 20-point lead in this one, and a solid slip away by a disastrous fourth quarter where the Thunder could not hit the broadside of a barn, but they had Cason Wallace. Cason Wallace had 27 points tonight, highlighted by back-to-back rim finishes in the fourth quarter to help OKC go 15-6 on that run in the clutch to pull away and survive the late push by Toronto to come back in this one. The Thunder get a win on the road, once again doing it without 3 of their best players and their two best players in SGA and J-Dub. So the Thunder get this win, and now that's put them in a great position for the rest of the week because, yes, tomorrow against Detroit and certainly Friday against Denver will be very tough, especially if they don't have their guys back, but you at least can now book in the weeks with wins. Getting this one in Toronto and then Sunday in Dallas should be easy for OKC. So 2-2 in a stretch where you don't have the certainty of your MVP, of your All-NBA swingman, or of AJ Mitchell. It sounds pretty good. This was a big win. We'll talk about it more over on Locked On Thunder.
Let's go over to Locked On Raptors.
Too little, too late, but even though it was too little, it was kind of a lot. The Toronto Raptors with a thrilling 25-point comeback against the Thunder. They tie this game at 101 with just a few minutes on the clock after just basically getting run off the floor by the Thunder during the second and third quarters of this game, again trailing by as many as 25. But the fourth quarter comes around, and they played some of the most inspired hoop I think I've seen this team play all season long. They hold the Thunder to just 3 points in the first 8 minutes of the final frame, and during that time, they just chipped away and chipped away. Their own offense wasn't exactly brilliant, but they got enough over the line to tie things up at 101 with a glorious Jamal Shed 3 that popped the lid off of Scotiabank Arena, and yet after that, it just kind of all fell apart. They gave all of the effort to tie the game and just had no juice left to push it over the finish line and get the win. Scottie Barnes left for a couple minutes with a knock to his knee, a couple of careless turnovers, and all of a sudden the Thunder back up and they win 116-107. But again, pretty inspired stuff from the Raptors, who looked totally dead to rights, and then they have themselves a really encouraging final quarter. Would you have liked to not fall down by 25 to the Thunder without Shea or Jalen Williams? Yeah, definitely, but you'll take the nice spirited attempted comeback nonetheless. And I do think this was a great game to kind of highlight just how impactful Scottie Barnes is. Just a really, really excellent basketball player. And on defense in this one, he was everything. He was the reason they made that comeback. 3 steals, 4 blocks. He's absurd. He was like a plus 16 in a game the Raptors lost by 9. He's a monster. And having him on your side, you're going to win a lot of games if you're playing inspired ball like they were in the fourth quarter in that loss to the Thunder.
Yeah, the Thunder just aren't fair when they can just do this without Shea and J-Dub.
I watched it in person on Sunday in Oklahoma City. Like they are ridiculous defensively. I saw them take a 23-point lead against the Cavs in the first quarter. Now they were up 28-5 to start that game on Sunday. And just like the Raptors, like the Cavs came all the way back in that one and didn't have enough left at the end. And Scottie's box score really stands out to me. He was a plus 18 in 32 minutes, Jake. That means that in the 16 minutes he did not play, the Raptors were outscored by 27 points.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
He's been awesome this year. He's just flat out been awesome. And you see, that's a great way to kind of measure his impact in that one. All right, moving on. Charlotte Hornets beat the Chicago Bulls. I'm just laughing at the score, 131-99. Bulls are tanking. Like
they've lost 10 straight. Clear. They're bad. They're bad.
Like they're bad. Charlotte's one of the hotter teams in the league. Cool. Nice win. Let's move on.
Charlotte's a legit good team. Like
yeah,
I'm ready to say Charlotte is good at basketball and the Bulls are bad.
They are not. Minnesota barely beats the Portland Trailblazers 124-121. Let's go over to Lockdown Wolves.
Minnesota Timberwolves hold on to beat the Portland Trailblazers on Tuesday night, bouncing back after a tough loss last time out. I'm Ben Beacon, host of the daily Lockdown Wolves podcast. Anthony Edwards had 25 points in the first half, but finished with just 34. The Timberwolves had a lot of bumps along the way, especially in the second half. Offensively, there was very little flow. Overall, the Wolves had 16 turnovers, 5 of them from Ant. At one point, Edwards missed 9 straight shots in the second half, broke out of his slump with a big three-pointer down the stretch, and ultimately that pushed the Wolves to a multi-possession lead. Portland got some cheap buckets and free throws at the end to make it a 3-point win for Minnesota, but Ant was a big part down the stretch. Still, the clunky offense was a problem. Rudy Gobert was awesome. Didn't score until the very end of the first half. Had 10 points and 19 rebounds in this game. Was huge to try and keep Donovan clinging off the glass. And the Wolves overcame some of those offensive bumps. Credit Portland for playing really hard. But Rudy Gobert down the stretch, Anthony Edwards, Dante DiVincenzo hitting some big shots, and the Wolves got back into the win column.
Yeah, you saw Anthony Edwards kind of down the stretch of this one, just making some shots, and it's just kind of what he does.
Yeah, he was really good. Jaden McDaniels was really good in this game, too. I actually think you can make a case that Jaden McDaniel was the best player for the Wolves in this game. He had 29 points on 12 of 16 shooting, and he also had just 5 blocks and 3 steals. Like, he was everywhere. So a really nice win for the Wolves over a Blazers team that didn't have Denny Avdia. And
that's like the big thing there in that one. Okay, their best player's not playing.
Yeah, and want to give a quick shout out. John Fanta called his first NBA play-by-play game for Peacock tonight on this one. Great stuff. John's a Cleveland guy, one of my friends. Congrats to him. Big moment for him.
All right, there you go. Final game for this segment here. The Milwaukee Bucks beat a little feisty, winning 128-117 over the Miami Heat. I saw this in person a couple games ago as they beat the New Orleans Pelicans. When they're hitting shots, they can be tough, man.
Yeah, I mean, 16 threes, they're going to be tough to beat. Like, I'm still not the biggest believers in them.
No. But they're not going to just roll over, it feels like.
Right. If you get Bobby Portis hitting 5 threes, if Ousmane Dieng comes off the bench and hit 3 threes, if Kevin Porter Jr. has it going on with 32 points, like, they have a recipe to beat some teams that are not very good. And like the Miami Heat are really trying to figure out who they are still at this point in the season. So like it's, Tyler Hero coming off the bench feels weird. He wasn't great in this game. He was 5 of 17 from the floor. Miami needs to figure out who they are, because I think that they are a more talented team than what their record says. But at a certain point, you are what your record says too.
It is. What I thought was kind of interesting in this one from the Heat was you saw Ware and Adebayo play together a little bit more. You've really seen them kind of like separated when they both played. But saw some lineups with them both out there. Might be worth listening to Locked On Heat, making them your second listen today, just for that kind of wrinkle alone, as that team tries to figure out exactly who they are in the Eastern Conference. So coming up next, let's look at Jonathan Kuminga making his debut for the Hawks. How did that one go? Let's coming up here next to today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inboxes overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still just sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Indeed sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the few moments I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of Locked On NBA Game Night will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On NBA. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, the #1 sports podcast network. I'm going to make Locked On Hawks actually my second listen today because I am curious about the Jonathan Kuminga experience finally starting there after not playing. Let's go over to Locked On Hawks as they beat the Washington Wizards 119-98.
Hello, friends. My name is Brad Roll. I'm the host of the Locked On Hawks podcast. And the Atlanta Hawks get a comfortable win on this Tuesday evening, knocking off the Washington Wizards in blowout fashion. Final score 119-98. Not really indicative of the way this game actually flowed. Atlanta was up by as many as 38 points and up by 32 with 6 minutes left before some garbage time shenanigans set in. The Wizards were pretty desultory in this one. To be fair, context is important, and the Hawks didn't play incredibly well across the board. But one thing that was on the bright side for the Hawks was the debut of Jonathan Kuminga, who had a fantastic debut for the Hawks. Shot it great, 27 points on only 9 of 12 from the floor, 3 of 4 from 3. Efficient. He had 7 rebounds, 4 assists, flying around. Obviously looked like he was excited to play basketball again after sitting out for both injury and because he wasn't playing much with the Warriors. So that's the big takeaway, the positive takeaway for the night for the Hawks. But in general, Atlanta actually shot the ball very poorly and still won very comfortably, which is what they wanted to see, because after Sunday and what became a very narrow win over the Nets, it was good to see the Hawks kind of take care of business and blow out a team they are much better than on this Tuesday evening. We'll get into all of that and more coming up on Locked On Hawks.
I'm happy that Kuminga got to have a good first game because it would have been rough, it feels like, if he didn't.
This to me, Jake, looks like a guy that was mentally free, I think is the way I want to phrase this. Like, he looks like he has escaped from some mental just challenges, I think is a fair way to put it, that he was dealing with in Golden State. Like, he looked like somebody, I don't want to say that isn't unleashed. Like, I don't expect him to be this guy every single night. No. But this was, I think, a very freeing experience for him.
Yeah. Let's contrast it to the Pelicans beating the Golden State Warriors, a game I was at, 113-109. With this game had something like 9 air balls and 7 traveling violations between the two teams. It was about as ugly as it could be. And man, I still just, what went on with Kuminga and the Warriors when, like, they have a game like this where New Orleans is bad, y'all. I know this. Everybody knows this. And you got beat by them. And at one point, it wasn't quite close in this game. Like, it's just kind of wild to see, like, Kuminga, as you said, kind of just feel free and have a new lease on life and look at what he's capable of doing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know what this is going to turn out to be. I don't know if Kuminga is going to be able to be consistent, but it is impressive. And to get to the Pelicans Warriors game, as you mentioned, those DeAndre Jordan starting minutes, not going too bad. Plus 11 and 22 minutes. Did not see that thing.
No. Okay. So 2 things from this game that are notable. DeAndre Jordan starting again, which is pretty great. The center spot, it's been Derek Queen. He's a rookie. He's just not good. You need someone with experience who can rebound well and give you some rim protection. Queen and Zion minutes does not look good, so they're throwing Jordan into the starting lineup. DeJounte Murray also making his return from his Achilles injury, first time playing in over a year. He started which is what sent Derek Queen to the bench, which is a little bit surprising. It says something about what they want to do next season, which is probably the incorrect thing, but they want to make the playoffs. I can't believe they're kind of booting their two prized rookies to the bench already, but that's what's going on in New Orleans here. Let's move on. I don't need to talk about that anymore here. I got Locked On Pelicans for it. How about the Philadelphia 76ers beating the Indiana Pacers 135-114? Let's go over to Locked On Sixers.
Hans Embiid comes back to help the 76ers to a 135-114 win over the Indiana Pacers and help closes out the 3-game road trip with a 2-1 record for the Sixers. Now, Embiid comes back in this game, gets 27 points in 26 minutes, 6 rebounds, 5 assists for the Sixers in this one. But the best part of this game was at the tail end of a huge run the Sixers had in the second quarter, a 24-2 run, as a matter of fact, in that second quarter. But with 1:18 remaining in the first half, Trendon Watford gets the block and the steal on the defensive end. Tyrese Maxey gets a hold of it in the offensive end, drives the lane, goes behind his back, and then a nice little touch pass. Nice little no-look pass to Joel Embiid on the block, who rises up and rocks the rim with a slam, and the Sixers were well on their way to the victory. Maxey, 32 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists in the win.
Let's go over to the Locked On Pacers.
5 Pacers 114, the final score here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Tony East here, up and out of the arena with Locked On Pacers. Ooh, Pacers defense just terrible recently. This is their 3rd straight game allowing over 130 points. They cannot stop anybody right now at all. A combination of injuries, atypical lineups, and just kind of poor offense leading to these struggles. A 17-0 run from Philly early in the second quarter really broke the game open, and the Pacers were never in it the rest of the way. They scored okay. They've scored okay in all of these recent games. They've lost 4 in a row since the break, but their defense just putrid, even without some of the guys that are normally good on defense. You'd expect better. I mean, some of these players are going to be playing real minutes next season when the team is trying to win again. They've got to find a way to up their gear defensively and do a lot of things, because a lot went well tonight. Micah Potter, a career-high 23. Cam Jones, a career-high 13. A lot to build on for the Pacers, but they've got to start guarding. Well, more on Locked On Pacers.
Maxey, by the way, led the team in points, rebounds, and assists for Philly in this one.
Yeah, really nice game for him. I think this is a game that both teams are happy with the outcome. I just wonder, did the Pacers try to medicate Aaron Nesmith? Could he have played if they tried to medicate him, Jake? That's all I ask.
You know what? I don't want to get fined. I'm not getting into this one here. I'm staying out of that. Go listen to Locked On Pacers. Make them your second listen if you want to hear all about what Rick Carlisle said and everything kind of going on with the drama between the Pacers and the league. All right, moving on. Let's have the Dallas Mavericks beating the Brooklyn Nets 123-114. Let's go over to Locked On Mavs.
The Brooklyn Nets, but they lose some in this game. Mavs beat the Nets. Nets, really bad team. Saw it tonight, full display. The Mavericks had 6 players with 13 or more points, including Najee Marshall, who had an awesome game, 21 points, 5 boards, 7 assists for him. Marvin Bagley was the recipient of a ton of pick and roll play passes, 21 points on just 19 minutes. The Mavs had to fly in day of. So did the Brooklyn Nets. They basically got to their hotel, then got to the arena, and that was it. They started the game and that was it. It's just a really weird scenario for the Mavericks and the Nets because of the snowstorm in the Northeast. And so that made everything a little bit different. So the Mavs offense was just cooking in this game, something we have not seen very often this season. Klay Thompson was one of the reasons why they were cooking in this game. He was great in this one. 17 points, hit 5 of 10 threes. He was great. And also Brandon Williams, shout out to him. He had a really good game coming off the bench, 19 points, 10 assists. And he was taking advantage of every single time the Brooklyn Nets would give him a switch. He is so lightning fast that anytime there was a big on him, he was going to drive right to the rim. Anytime they sent 2 to the ball on a ball screen, he was going to try to split it, or he was going to get the pass over the top or around to Marvin Bagley, Daniel Gafford, one of the rollers for the Mavericks. The Mavs get a solid win, but they lose PJ Washington to an ankle injury. He left with a left ankle injury. It was his right ankle that he hurt earlier in the season. And then Chris Middleton left this game early with a shoulder injury as well. Brandon Williams is also hurting his shoulder. And so the Mavs maybe coming in late affected them, but they lose both of those guys to injury. We'll see how long they last. And then the Mavs win this game. And so in the tank standings, they kind of lose there too.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. I think both teams would have liked to have lost this one.
The Nets, Jake, I watched them in person right out of the break. Whew, it's a rough viewing, man. It is. I feel bad for anybody that was in that arena on Tuesday night.
Speaking of kind of rough viewing, the Boston Celtics getting a 97-81 victory over the Phoenix Suns. Let's go over to Locked On Celtics. I'm making John go last since he's not here tonight.
Fair.
Boston Celtics start slow but pull away from the Phoenix Suns in the middle quarters. I'm John Corrales of the Locked On Celtics podcast. Even early on when the Celtics were falling behind by 11 because they couldn't hit a shot, I thought they were playing well. They were really defending hard. They were crashing the boards. Ultimately, that paid off. 22 offensive rebounds, which is a ridiculous number, gets them 95 shot attempts. And even though they shot 40%, they got so many more shots. They got 16 more shots up. It allowed them to start piling up some points and holding the Phoenix Suns to 79. That Celtics defense, once the Suns' hot shooting in the first quarter kind of leveled off, the Celtics were able to pull away. Derek White got hot. Sam Hauser got hot. But it's the contributions from Baylor Shireman, Ron Harper Jr., Jordan Walsh, even Hugo Gonzalez, the guys that you never expected much from the Celtics at the beginning of the season. They are fueling the best defensive rebounding team in the NBA in February, one of the best defensive teams in the NBA in February. Two weaknesses for the Celtics at the beginning of the season. Now they are strengths. So even without Jaylen Brown, they're still able to hold the Phoenix Suns in check and put up a bunch of shots and score enough points to comfortably beat the Suns. I'll be talking about it on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
No Devin Booker for Phoenix in this one, but their leading scorer was Colin Gillespie with just 15 points. Woof.
Yeah, I mean, they just, without Booker, without Dillon Brooks, who's also out,
that's
going to
be a big loss
right now.
too.
They don't have, I'm not the biggest Dillon Brooks guy in the world, but they just don't have guys.
The Phoenix Suns they love him though.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, he has been a culture shifter for them. But like, they don't have enough guys that can create right now. And the Celtics have been really good defensively. And like, this is just such a bad matchup for the Suns without Devin Booker. And especially when Jalen Green was a minus 33 in 26 minutes, 5 of 18 from the floor, 1 of 8 from 3. Like, to have any chance when the Suns are missing who they're missing, particularly at the spots they're missing them, they need Jalen Green to be awesome. And if he's not, you get 81 points in a 48-minute game.
Yeah, it was a rough offensive showing there. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On Wednesdays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, host of Locked On Pelicans. He is Danny Cunningham, host of Locked On Cavs. We appreciate y'all listening. We'll be back with y'all next week.